Introducing Tom. He's a father navigating the challenges of unemployment and despair, yet he finds the strength to persevere for the sake of his daughter, who relies on him. For 4 long months, he has pleaded for a job, any job, to ensure their lights stay on. This evening, he feels prepared to surrender. Yet, in a fleeting moment, a CEO named Elena spots him, just another passerby, and makes a choice that alters the course of events entirely. She doesn't merely provide employment. She ignites a transformation that moves an entire community to tears. This tale of compassion will linger in your memory forever. The street outside Voss Industries was chilly and still, a twilight moment where the sky seemed torn between the urge to rain and a lingering mood of melancholy. Tom Harper lingered at the factory gate, his boots scraping against the gravel, a wrinkled resume held tightly in his rough hand. At 34, his face bore the weight of experience, with lines etched by the burdens of unemployment, eviction notices, and the desire to provide a better life for his daughter. The resume represented his final opportunity, a fragile document detailing a series of odd jobs and a welding certificate that had gathered dust since the plant's closure. He had visited every establishment in this dwindling town, and Voss was the last destination. If this didn't work, he was at a loss for how to explain it to Lily. Lily, just 6 years old, with her pigtails bouncing and a gap-toothed grin, sat at home alongside Mrs. Carter, the kind neighbor who had welcomed them when their landlord had locked them out of their apartment. In Tom's pocket rested a small plastic car, the one Lily adored, tucked away this morning after she embraced him farewell. "You'll secure the position," she declared, her confidence unwavering. He longed to trust her, yet conviction was elusive when the refrigerator stood bare and his dignity had vanished. The factory stood tall across the street, its lights shimmering in the twilight. Voss Industries crafted intricate components, gears, valves, elements that Tom once welded before the world advanced beyond his reach. He had caught wind of their hiring, a fleeting opportunity in a place where employment was as elusive as a summer shower. He carefully flattened the resume, its worn edges a testament to countless rejections, and began his walk toward the gate. A sign declared applications closed, yet he felt compelled to press on. Not at this moment. He remained oblivious to the woman observing from the steps of the office building. Elena Voss, 42 CO and the sole heir to her father's company, stood with her arms crossed, her sharp blazer contrasting with the weary street around her. After a long day filled with meetings about layoffs, budgets, and the tension of a brewing union fight, she was on her way to her car when she spotted him. There was something in Tom's posture, the droop of despair, the way he clutched that paper as if it were his final chance, that drew her attention. She hesitated, keys swaying gently from her fingers. Tom arrived at the gate, where a disinterested security guard hardly raised his eyes. "We're finished for the day," the guard said, dismissively waving him off. "Enough with the resumes." "Please," Tom said, his voice rough from lack of use. "Simply accept it. I am capable of repairing anything. This is essential for me. Everyone requires it," the guard responded with a hint of warmth. "Return next month. Perhaps." Tom's grip intensified, the resume folding more deeply. "Next month's too late," he murmured, yet the guard was already walking away. He lingered for a moment, the burden of yet another disappointment heavy upon him, before he finally turned to leave. His eyes burned, not quite tears yet, but teetering on the edge. Elena advanced, the sharp sound of her heels echoing against the pavement. "Hey!" she called, her voice slicing through the twilight. Tom stood still, casting a quick look over his shoulder, uncertain if she was referring to him. She navigated the street with intention, her dark hair shimmering under the glow of the streetlights. As he drew nearer, he identified her unmistakably. Elena Voss, the name that graced every paycheck in this town. His stomach dropped. Was she here to reprimand him for his intrusion? "Text, you have a resume?" she inquired, pausing a few feet away. He blinked, taken by surprise. Indeed. He extended it, bracing himself for her laughter at its conditions. Rather minimal. She accepted it, her gentle touch revealing an unexpected tenderness. Her eyes roamed over the page, welder, mechanic, warehouse grunt, before returning to him. Tom Harper, she perused. What makes this job so significant? He swallowed hard, the truth pouring forth before he could rein it in. Lily, my daughter. She is 6 years old. Things aren't going well for us. I must ensure her safety and provide her with shelter. I'm willing to put in the hours, whether it's nights, weekends, or any time needed. Elena's expression remained unchanged, yet a subtle transformation flickered in her gaze. Perhaps acknowledgement or recollection. She returned the resume. Have you ever operated a MIG welder? Each day for 5 years, he remarked. A glimmer of hope persisted against his better judgment, until the facility ceased operations. She nodded, her gaze shifting from the factory to him and back again. We are currently lacking a welder. Tomorrow marks the beginning of the night shift. $25 per hour, with benefits available after 90 days. Are you in? Tom's mouth parted, yet silence enveloped him. He gazed at her, anticipating the twist, the playful disclaimer that typically accompanied such assurances. You're not joking, he managed. With a tone of utmost sincerity, she spoke, a subtle smile beginning to emerge. Arrive by 6 p.m. Punctuality is essential. He nodded, bewildered, the document quivering in his grasp. I will not. I appreciate it, Ms. Voss. This is beyond your understanding. She introduced herself as Elena, and I sensed there was more to her words. Return home, Tom. Inform your daughter. He uttered another thank you, retreating slowly until his legs finally buckled beneath him. As he strolled along the street, the burden on his chest eased ever so slightly. Lily's toy car nestled warmly in his pocket, a symbol of the commitment he was ready to honor. He was unaware of Elena observing him leave, her smile gradually transforming into a gentler, more melancholic expression as she faced her car once more. Inside her sedan, Elena lingered for a moment, the engine silent. She retrieved a photograph from her wallet, a worn image of a man in a welder's mask, smiling, her father, before the company became hers, before cancer claimed him. He had once been like Tom, struggling to make ends meet while harboring grand dreams for her. She carefully stowed the photo, ignited the engine, and ventured into the darkness, a calm determination enveloping her. Tom arrived at Mrs. Carter's apartment, his footsteps buoyant, a stark contrast to the heaviness of the past months. Lily dashed toward him, her pigtails dancing with each step, and he lifted her into his arms, resume still clutched tightly. Father found work, he murmured, his voice trembling. Everything will turn out fine. Lily let out a joyful squeal, wrapping her arms around him tightly, and for the first time in ages, Tom felt a genuine belief in it all. The factory floor at Voss Industries buzzed with an energy Tom Harper hadn't experienced in years. A harmonious blend of clashing metal, the sharp hiss of welders, and the steady pulse of machinery. At 6:03 p.m., on his inaugural night shift, he found himself at the perimeter of the weld shop, a borrowed helmet tucked under his arm, experiencing that familiar sensation of being a novice once more. The new work boots felt tight, the denim coveralls carried the scent of freshly starched fabric, and the burden of Elena Voss's proposal lingered heavily in his chest. Position, an actual position, for Lily and their future. He had to get this right. The workshop unfolded like a labyrinth of steel beams and shimmering sparks, with workers gliding through their tasks in a harmonious flow beneath the bright fluorescent lights. Tom held his time card tightly, the ink still fresh from HR's hurried onboarding process. Elena had expedited every process, badge, locker, safety briefing, her name unlocking doors that typically remained closed. He had caught the HR clerk's murmurs about preferential treatment, and the recollection caused his jaw to clench. He sought no handouts, only an opportunity to demonstrate his worth. Harper. A rough voice sliced through the clamor. A stout man in his 50s, his face lined like aged leather, beckoned him closer. My name is Ray Shiftleet. Are you the new person that Voss brought on board? Indeed, Tom remarked while offering his hand. Tom Harper. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Ray shook it, his grip firm and his eyes narrowed with intensity. Hold off on the gratitude for now. We don't provide guidance here. You mentioned that you weld. Ensure D remains intact. Operated them all at the old facility until its closure. Tom responded, maintaining a calm tone. Simply in search of a station. Ray pointed to a corner setup, filled with rods and illuminated by a flickering torch. That belongs to you. We're lagging on valve casings, and the clients are getting anxious. Prove to me that there's more to you than just a tale of hardship. Tom felt a knot in his stomach. Sad tale? The news had circulated. Elena's street-side hire was no longer a hidden affair. He nodded, suppressing the sting as he made his way to the station. The other welders looked up, their eyes keen, evaluating. A young man with a buzz cut flashed a smirk, whispering something to his friend that concluded with a chuckle. Tom brushed it aside, donning his helmet with a sense of purpose. He faced challenges far beyond mere conversation about commerce. You were compelled to. The torch rested comfortably in his grip, reminiscent of a warm reunion with a long-lost companion. He created an arc, the blue-white light flaring as he immersed himself in the rhythm, bead after bead, metal melding under his unwavering hand. After a long stretch, he finally sensed a sense of purpose, no longer feeling shattered. Her face appeared vividly in his thoughts, that charming gap-toothed smile when he assured her everything would turn out fine. This was intended for her. An hour in the machine sputtered, the wire feed becoming stuck. Tom muttered a curse, lifting his visor with a frustrated flick. The rig was aged and temperamental, a far cry from the polished configurations he had become accustomed to at his previous position. He knelt, the toolbox ajar, probing for the hitch. Ray stood close by, his arms folded across his chest. Is there an issue already, Harper? It's merely a jam, Tom remarked with composure. Please hold on for a moment. All you have is minutes, Ray grunted. We have a deadline approaching. Tom's fingers moved swiftly, following the feed line and discovering a kink in the spool. He adjusted it, recalibrated the tension, and tested the trigger. It was smooth once more. The torch flickered to life once more, and he continued welding, beads of sweat forming beneath his helmet. Ray lingered for a moment, then turned and departed in silence. Neither commendation nor termination. Tom would accept it. At the midpoint of the shift, the team gathered for coffee in a small lunchroom. Tom picked up a soda from the vending machine, indulging in his first treat in weeks, and settled into a quiet corner table by himself. The welders huddled closely, their murmurs sharp yet subdued. The word is that the boss lady found him on the street. The buzz cut spoke volumes. It must be quite a privilege to bypass the queue. Tom's hold on the can grew firmer. He felt the urge to retort, to assert that he had proven himself and wasn't merely a recipient of pity. Yet he held back his words. Lily required his presence, not his penchant for conflict. He retrieved the toy car from his pocket, letting it glide across the table, finding solace in its worn paint. The door creaked ajar, and an eerie silence enveloped the room. Elena Voss entered without the usual blazer this evening, opting for a navy sweater and jeans, her dark hair neatly pulled back. She held a tablet, yet her gaze was fixed on the crew as they approached Tom. Harper, she beckoned, nodding him closer. How are you doing? The others shared looks, the smirk of the buzz cut slowly disappearing. Tom slipped his hands into his pockets and walked over to her. All right, he replied with a hint of caution. Riggs is aging, but I'm handling it. She acknowledged with a nod, her fingers dancing across the tablet's surface. Hurry as you resolve a jam in just 10 minutes. Quite an impressive start. Tom blinked, taken by surprise. Simply fulfilling my responsibilities. Maintain your momentum, she stated, her tone soft yet resolute. We require individuals who persevere. She cast a look at the crew, her eyes piercing enough to hush their murmurs. Does anyone have any problems? My doors are open. Silence enveloped the room. She turned back to Tom with a gentler demeanor now. Are you getting comfortable? Do you have everything you require? Indeed, he spoke, but then paused. I really don't want to. I'm not seeking any preferential treatment. I will contribute my fair share. Her lips curled slightly, hinting at a smile. I never imagined you wouldn't. My father worked as a welder, beginning his journey in a shop similar to this one, back when it was merely a shed. He would have appreciated you, maintained focus and put in the effort. Does that ring a bell? Tom felt a constriction in his throat. Indeed, that resonates with me. Excellent, she remarked. Persevere through it. She took a step back, addressing the audience with poise. Let's dive back in, everyone. Large orders are expected by Friday. The crew moved out, with Tom lagging behind, Elena's words resonating in his mind. Is her dad a welder? The Voss name and the fortune didn't quite align, yet it brought a sense of humanity to her character. She wasn't merely a suit. She possessed an understanding that seemed almost instinctual. He made his way back to his station, the torch in hand, feeling lighter now, and settled into the work once more. The casings accumulated, his beads polished, his rhythm unwavering. Ray strolled past, emitting a sound that could have been interpreted as approval. By midnight, Tom's arms throbbed, his eyes stinging from the harsh light, yet he had surpassed half the queue. A buzz cut with a name tag that read Kyle leaned against the rig as he stopped by. Not too shabby, he remarked with a hint of reluctance. I expected you to back out. I've been welding since I was 18, Tom said, lifting his visor with a casual flick. Currently not peeling. Kyle let out a snort, though it lacked any malice. Just stay on track. Ray's a tough one. Understood, Tom replied, as Kyle turned away, departing with a trace of admiration lingering in the air. It may have been modest, but it marked the beginning. The shift concluded at 2 a.m., the factory settling into silence as the machines powered down. Tom clocked out, his time card marked with a complete 8 hours, the first genuine paycheck he had seen in months. He stepped outside, the air crisp and invigorating, with stars twinkling shyly through the clouds. For a fleeting instant, he felt anchored, as if the earth beneath him was steadfast and unyielding. He messaged Mrs. Carter to check on Lily, then rested until it was time for her school drop-off. As he reached for his phone, it buzzed unexpectedly. An incoming call, not a message. The sight of Mrs. Carter's name sent a wave of despair through him. It was unusual for her to call at such a late hour. He replied, his voice strained. Hey, what seems to be the issue? Tom, she uttered, her voice trembling. My name is Lily. She's ablaze, the fever soaring, refusing to relent. I'm heading to the ER with her now. The world shifted. Ahoy! How dire is the situation? I don't know, Mrs. Carter said, her words tumbling out in a hurried manner. She's inquiring about you. Quickly now. Lily. I'm coming, he called out, already sprinting toward his battered truck, the toy car bouncing in his pocket. Lily, his beloved Lily, was unwell, and he found himself an hour away, clutching just $12 in his wallet, all while holding onto a job he couldn't afford to lose. The promise of the night shattered, dread flooding in to take its place. The hospital parking lot was a chaotic swirl of harsh sodium lights and urgency as Tom Harper slammed his truck to a halt, the engine sputtering its final objections. It was 2:47 a.m., and his inaugural night shift at Voss Industries had just concluded. Yet the delicate hope he had held onto was beginning to fray. Lily, his precious 6-year-old, his entire world, was in the ER battling a fever that refused to relent. Mrs. Carter's call lingered in his mind, her voice strained with anxiety. She's on fire, Tom. Quickly now. He snatched the toy car from his pocket, Lily's cherished possession, a worn red racer, and dashed toward the entrance, his work boots thudding against the asphalt. The emergency room buzzed with chaos, wailing infants, a belligerent man disputing with a nurse, and the sharp scent of antiseptic assaulting his senses. Tom surveyed the waiting area, noticing Mrs. Carter by the triage desk, her gray hair disheveled and her coat draped over her pajamas. She spotted him and gestured for him to come closer, her complexion wan beneath the harsh fluorescent light. Where could she be? Tom inquired, panting, his voice hoarse. "They took her back just 10 minutes ago," Mrs. Carter said, her grip tightening on his arm. "Room 4. Fever's reaching 104, and she appears quite lethargic. They are conducting tests and mentioned it could potentially be an infection." Contagion? Tom felt a sudden twist in his stomach. What led to this situation? "She seemed well this morning." Mrs. Carter shook her head, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "I'm not familiar with Tom." She was immersed in her game, and then suddenly, everything fell apart. She mentioned that her throat was hurting, and then her fever increased significantly. "I chose not to wait." "You did the right thing," he said, trying to project a calm he didn't truly possess. "May I have the opportunity to see her?" The nurse at the desk listened intently, glancing at her screen. "Excuse me, Mr. Harper? She is currently stable. With her is the doctor. Returning is possible, but only one person at a time." Tom gave a reassuring nod, gently squeezing Mrs. Carter's shoulder. "Remain in this place. I will inform you." He trailed the nurse through the double doors, his heart pounding with a rhythm more intense than the clamor of factory machines. The corridor was bare, flanked by drapes and the incessant beeping of machines, each step resembling a struggle through thick sludge. Lily couldn't afford to be unwell, not at this moment, not when he had finally gained some ground. Room 4 was compact, the curtain partially pulled back. Lily rested on the gurney, her pigtails drooping, her cheeks a rosy hue pressed against the stark white pillow. For tubes coiled from her arm, while a monitor emitted a steady, rhythmic beep. She appeared small, delicate, a stark contrast to the tempest that had twirled through their rented space just the day before. A young doctor with kind eyes framed by glasses stood beside her, jotting notes on a chart. "Mr. Harper," the physician remarked, glancing up. "I am Dr. Nguyen. Lily is battling a bacterial infection, likely strep, and it's taken quite a toll on her. We're initiating antibiotics, yet the fever remains persistent. She might need to stay overnight, perhaps even longer." Tom's knees buckled, yet he clutched the bed rail, determined to remain standing. "She will be all right, won't she?" Nguyen paused, if only for a moment, and that slight delay was enough to heighten Tom's anxiety. She expressed a sense of hopefulness. "The antibiotics are potent, but we will monitor her carefully. She embodies resilience." Tom nodded, his throat constricted, and settled into the chair next to Lily. Her eyes slowly opened, shimmering yet filled with recognition for him. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice strained. "Hey, Bug," he said, a smile stretching across his face as he gently tucked her damp hair behind her ear. "You're excelling wonderfully. Simply take a moment to relax. All right?" He placed the toy car in her hand, and her fingers wrapped around it, a faint smile dancing across her lips. "Negative. Stay," she whispered. He always made promises, even as his thoughts raced uncontrollably. The job, in his first week, cast a hard stare as the crew's whispers loomed like a storm cloud. He couldn't afford to miss a shift, not at this moment, yet Lily required his presence. And Wealth received the hospital bill. With days to wait for his first paycheck, he found himself with only a crumpled $10 bill in his wallet. He had parted with all that was valuable months prior. Dr. Nguyen exited, assuring he would return, while Tom remained, the only sound being Lily's faint breaths. He sent Mrs. Carter a message with the latest information, then gazed at his phone, lost in thought. Elena Vass's card rested in his locker at work, her number hastily written on it. A reminder to call if he needed anything, she had said. Yet seeking assistance, after she had already provided him with a position, felt like pleading, like experiencing Lily's failure all over again. He pushed the phone aside, burying his head in his hands. The hours seemed to stretch endlessly. As dawn broke, Lily's fever had decreased to 102, a modest triumph, yet she remained lethargic, her eyes barely open. Tom was restless, his body weary from the long hours and the unforgiving plastic of the chair. Mrs. Carter served coffee before taking her leave to rest, assuring us she would be back soon. The physician requested additional tests, including blood work and a chest x-ray, to eliminate the possibility of complications. Every word carried the burden of the bill Tom was unable to settle. At approximately 8 in the morning, a sudden knock broke the silence, catching him off guard. Elena Vasa stood in the doorway, lacking her usual polish. Her jeans were worn, her jacket casual, and her hair fell loosely around her shoulders. Her gaze shifted between Lily and Tom, filled with a gentle worry. She remarked that you hadn't clocked in. Ray reached out to me. What's happening? Tom's face flushed with a blend of humiliation and fatigue. It's Lily, he murmured softly, careful not to disturb her slumber. I've come down with a fever infection. They are holding on to her. I found myself unable to depart. Elena entered, drawing a chair nearer. You ought to have made that call. I truly meant it. My door is wide open. He shook his head, his gaze fixed on Lily's toy car resting on the blanket. You've accomplished plenty, Ms. Vasa, Elena. The role exceeds my expectations. I couldn't possibly request anything further. You're not asking, she stated with a blend of firmness and kindness. I am presenting. What is it that you require? Time away? Funds? His pride flared, yet Lily's faint breaths overshadowed it. I'm not sure, he confessed. The cost will amount to thousands. I'm completely out of funds until payday, and I can't afford to skip work. Fire me from the rail. Ray doesn't call that shot, she remarked, a glimmer of excitement in her eyes. I certainly do. You're in the second week of your paid leave, do whatever it takes. Opportunities await upon your return. Tom's jaw fell open in disbelief. Compensated time off? I have just begun. That is, she interrupted, firm and unwavering. The bill has been taken care of. I have a reserve set aside for unforeseen circumstances, which also supports the families of employees. No attachments. He gazed, the words slipping away. Indeed, he succeeded. What motivates you to do this for us? Elena's eyes wandered to Lily, her expression melting into a tenderness that Tom had never witnessed before. Once my dad was you, she said softly. Solo caregiver, tight budget, making ends meet. A small opportunity came his way, just enough to keep him moving forward. He created Voss from that. I will repay you, Tom. That concludes everything. He nodded, his throat constricted, rendering him speechless. She rose, retrieving a note from her pocket and carefully tucking it beneath Lily's toy car. She mentioned it for when she feels better, then turned to leave. Reach out if you require assistance. I truly mean it. The door clicked shut, and Tom carefully unfolded the note. A well-crafted script it was, urging to persevere just as my father did. Elena. Inside lay a $50 bill, perhaps a gesture of goodwill or a small investment for the future. He pressed it to his forehead, eyes brimming with unshed tears, and murmured a thank you that would forever go unheard. Lily stirred, softly whispering his name as he leaned in, gently caressing her hand. By noon, the fever had subsided to 101, thanks to the antibiotics taking effect, yet the doctor preferred to keep the patient under observation for another night. Tom remained steadfast, pushing aside the discomfort in his back and the persistent hunger that clawed at his insides. The team sent out a group message with Kyle, the one who handles the bus cuts, taking the lead. He heard about your child. Stay strong, my friend. It may have been small, yet it warmed the cold air of doubt lingering in the shop. As dusk settled, Tom ventured outside for a breath of fresh air, leaving the hospital's steady buzz behind him. He glanced at his phone, saw messages from Mrs. Carter, a bill update he dreaded, and then came to a standstill. A notification appeared, showcasing a local news site featuring a post labeled with the hashtag #HarperHope. A story was shared, perhaps by Kyle, about a single father who secured a job at Vasio and is now battling for the health of his ill daughter. It garnered 500 shares, with comments pouring in, as strangers extended their prayers, financial support, and meals. Tom's heart pounded in his chest. The post was gaining momentum, drawing attention to him, Lily, and Elena. He was uncertain about the gaze of the world upon him, yet the moment had already passed. The tale had spread, and there was no turning back. The hospital room felt gentler now, illuminated by the delicate morning light seeping through a fractured blind. 5 days had passed since Lily's ear scare, and the clinical atmosphere had softened, giving way to a stuffed bear for Mrs. Carter, a crayon drawing affixed to the wall, and the gentle murmur of a cartoon playing on the muted television. Lily propped herself up in bed, her pigtails tidy, her cheeks free from the flush of fever. The antibiotics had performed their wonders, bringing her temperature back to normal, and Dr. Nguyen had assured her of discharge by tomorrow if her blood work remained clear. Tom Harper settled next to her, his work boots worn yet his smile genuine, as Lily's red racer toy car rolled between them on the blanket. "Look, Daddy." Lily laughed, sending the car into a wobbly spin. "It's a thrilling journey to the moon." "Off to the moon, are we?" Tom remarked as he seized it in the midst of its rotation. "I'll require additional fuel for that marshland." His voice carried a newfound lightness, the burden of Lily's illness easing with every sound of her laughter. Yet his gaze still held the weight of shadows, restless nights, the hospital expenses Elena had discreetly settled, and now the peculiar new strain of a community observing him. The Harper Hope hashtag post surged dramatically after Kyle's leak, skyrocketing from 500 shares to 10,000 within just a few days. Tom's phone vibrated incessantly, filled with local news messages, heartfelt prayers from strangers, and a PayPal link that had already amassed $3,000 for Lily's recovery. He had gazed at the number the previous night, bewildered, caught in a conflict of thankfulness and apprehension. He had never sought this attention, yet it had arrived, and it was no longer solely about him. Mrs. Carter entered with a lively energy, a thermos of coffee clutched in her hand, her expression more radiant than it had been since the onset of the crisis. "Good morning to you as well," she remarked while placing it on the tray. "I've been informed by the nurses that Lily is an exceptional patient. Tom, it seems you have some visitors." "Yes." Tom's brow furrowed as he cast a glance at Lily, who brightened instantly. "Factory people," Mrs. Carter remarked, a sly smile playing on her lips. "They are located in the hallway." I didn't want to overwhelm her. Tom stood, adjusting his flannel shirt before stepping outside. In the corridor, a small group of his crew lingered, anticipation hanging in the air. Kyle, sporting a buzz cut, Ray, the gruff shift lead, and a handful of others whose names remained unfamiliar to him. A collection of mismatched items was in their grasp. Balloons, a card, and a small gift bag. Kyle moved ahead, rubbing the back of his neck, looking a bit embarrassed. "I heard your child is improving," he mentioned. "We thought we might drop in." Tom blinked, taken by surprise. "There was no need for you to take that action." "Indeed, we did," Ray interjected, his tone softer than it had been at the shop. "Welcome to the fold, Harper." Additionally, the post Kyle shared has everyone in town buzzing. "Thought it might be good to demonstrate that we have a kinder side." Kyle let out a derisive snort, brandishing the card in his hand. "Express your own thoughts, Elder. This is for you, Tom, from the team. Lily's name appears in it." Tom accepted it, the envelope weighed down by the hastily written signatures within. "Thank you," he said, his voice heavy. "Holds significant value. She's making progress." "So the boss lent a hand, did they?" Kyle murmured, his voice dropping to a softer tone. "I heard she took care of the bill. She has a heart beneath that CEO facade." "Indeed," Tom remarked, casting a look over his shoulder at the room. "Indeed she does." The crew departed quickly, as their shift was about to begin. Yet their presence remained, a fissure in the barrier Tom had sensed at the factory. He came back to Lily, presenting the card to her, her eyes widening at the glittery "Get Well" inscribed across it. She said, tracing the names, "They like you, Daddy." "Perhaps," he remarked, tousling her hair playfully. "They have a greater fondness for you." That afternoon, Elena Voss made her entrance, her typical jeans replaced by a sharp blouse, as if she had just stepped out of a meeting. She held a small box, crayons, and a sketch pad for Lily, pausing at the door as she observed Tom reading to her from a well-worn library book. "Apologies for the interruption," she remarked as she entered. "Just following up on our important guest." Lily's face lit up as she caught sight of the box. Is that intended for me? It's all yours, Elena said, passing it along. I heard you're a creator. Tom stood, offering a grateful nod. They believe she'll be out tomorrow. The fever has subsided. Your presence wasn't necessary. You've already done more than enough. Elena dismissed it with a wave, seated opposite him. I needed to witness it firsthand. Additionally, I have some updates to share. She retrieved her phone, displaying a headline. Voss CEO's kindness sparks town revival. Underneath, the hashtag HarperHope gained traction with 50,000 mentions. Contributions have reached $20,000, food drives are emerging, and community members are helping each other repair roofs. Tom gazed into his coffee, lost in thought. Is this a result of our actions? It was due to you, Elena clarified. And Lily, your story caught everyone's attention, Tom. They aim to assist not only you but also everyone facing challenges. I am reallocating a portion of Voss's profits towards a job program. Training provides opportunities for redemption. I thought you might want to contribute to it. Who, me? Tom's brow knitted in concern. I'm simply a welder. You're beyond that, she asserted, her tone resolute. Your existence is evidence of its effectiveness. I would like your assistance in managing it on a part-time basis once Lily has recovered. Compensated, clearly. He shook his head, feeling a wave of emotions wash over him. I have no knowledge of programs. I simply wish to focus on my tasks and ensure her safety. You'll learn, Elena said, her eyes glinting with excitement. My father did. Begun as a welder, ultimately became the owner of the establishment. You possess his tenacity. Just agree, Tom, Lily exclaimed, her fingers wrapped around her fresh set of crayons. Affirmative, dear. It feels akin to offering assistance to others. Tom chuckled, the sound loosening the tension in his chest. All right, he finally replied. I'm committed to her. Elena's smile was swift and heartfelt. Excellent. We'll begin with a modest gathering, a town hall meeting scheduled for next week. We are collaborating on this pitch. The concept began to flourish in the following days. Lily arrived home, her vitality surging in waves. She sketched cars on her pad, talked animatedly about school, and even zoomed her toy across the apartment floor. Tom made his way back to the factory, his shifts more consistent now, the banter among colleagues evolving into camaraderie. Kyle assisted him in crafting a small steel sculpture, a car that was rough yet proud, destined for Lily's bedside. The kids have a knack for it, Kyle remarked with a smile. The town thrummed with the energy of hashtag HarperHope. A diner launched an evening of complimentary meals, supported by generous contributions. A hardware store provided materials to repair Mrs. Carter's dripping porch. The PayPal balance reached $50,000, sufficient for Tom to secure a new home, modest yet theirs. He carried their few boxes inside, Lily's laughter bouncing off the empty walls, and he experienced something he hadn't felt in years, a sense of possibility. Elena toiled in the background, her workspace a center of strategies, career expos, funding for training, and a support line for families like Tom's. One evening, she visited the apartment, blueprints in hand, and found Tom putting the finishing touches on the sculpture in Mrs. Carter's garage. That's for Lily, she inquired, gesturing towards the steel car. Indeed, he remarked, brushing the perspiration from his forehead. Desired for her to possess something tangible, akin to what we share now. She examined it, her expression inscrutable for a brief moment. My father crafted a horse for me once similar to that. Held onto it after he passed away. You're an excellent father, Tom. He shrugged, a flush of embarrassment creeping over him, striving to achieve. You are, she said, then unfurled the blueprints. Town hall is arranged. We'll present the program and refer to it as Harper's Hope, if that works for you. Tom paused for a moment, then gave a slight nod. Absolutely, for Lily. The town hall arrived swiftly, with a crowded gym where folding chairs groaned beneath the weight of the locals, while news vans lined the exterior. Tom stood on stage, a bundle of nerves in a borrowed button-up, while Elena stood beside him, effortlessly casual in her usual jeans. Lily sat in the front row, Mrs. Carter's arm draped around her as she waved her toy car enthusiastically. Tom began, his voice trembling yet unmistakably articulate. I finished up a month ago. Elena offered me an opportunity, a pathway forward. We are returning the favor, offering opportunities through jobs training hope. For everyone. Elena stepped up to the mic, outlining the strategy with precision. 50 new employees, complimentary welding courses, and childcare services for staff. The audience erupted in applause, capturing the moment on their devices. As the hashtag #HarperHope surged in popularity across social media, contributions surged, reaching $100,000 by midnight, then climbing to $200,000. The gym transformed into a vibrant celebration. Children twirling, neighbors embracing, a banner unfurling, Harper's Hope Lives. Tom cradled Lily as they made their way home, her head resting gently on his shoulder, while the sculpture shimmered on their new table. He slumbered deeply, lost in visions of metal and celestial bodies. Yet, as dawn broke, his phone illuminated with a news alert, striking and unexpected. Vasios underwent careful examination. What secrets is Elena concealing? The new apartment was infused with the scent of fresh paint and coffee, a tranquil refuge that Tom Harper had scarcely allowed himself to envision just a month prior. A week had passed since the town hall, and the cozy two-bedroom space, complete with a kitchen featuring a genuine stove, echoed with Lily's joyful laughter as she zoomed her toy car over the linoleum. The steel sculpture Tom had welded rested on a shelf, its jagged edges glinting in the morning light, a testament to their resilience. Outside, the town thrummed with the energy of hashtag #HarperHope, the job program gaining traction, 50 hires in progress, training classes fully booked, and donations exceeding $300,000. Tom lingered by the window, observing the children frolic in the courtyard beneath him, a paycheck stub from Vase Industries tucked away in his pocket. They had achieved it, against all odds they had achieved it. However, the news alert from yesterday acknowledged him. Vasios came under examination. What secrets is Elena concealing? The journalist's self-satisfied tone suggested a major revelation, and social media buzzed with theories, with some lauding Elena's generosity, while others doubted her intentions. Tom remained silent, grappling with the right words to convey his thoughts. She had offered him her all. A position, Lily's well-being, this fresh beginning. No matter what the reality may be, he was indebted to her for his trust. Yet, the doubt remained, casting a pall over their radiant new beginning. Lily dashed over, her pigtails dancing with each step, clutching a crayon drawing depicting a car with wings gliding over a vibrant rainbow. With a grin, she asked, "Can we give it to Miss Elena?" Tom grinned, playfully tousling her hair. "Absolutely, issue will be addressed shortly." He had caught wind that Elena was hosting a press conference today, something significant at the community center. Perhaps solutions, perhaps further inquiries. He would bring Lily along, allowing her to meet the woman who transformed their existence, no matter what happened afterward. At noon, they reached the center, a modest brick structure bustling with locals, news crews, and an electric atmosphere of expectation. The gym was adorned with banners proclaiming Harper's Hope Lives, and tables were heaped with generous donations of clothes and toys. Tom grasped Lily's hand, her drawing tightly held in her other fist as they settled into seats close to the front. Mrs. Carter gestured from the other side of the room, while Kyle and Ray acknowledged her with nods amidst a group of factory workers. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation, as if the entire town was suspended in a moment of stillness. Elena Voss took the stage, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater, her dark hair flowing freely. She appeared weary yet determined, her gray eyes sweeping over the crowd before finally resting on Tom and Lily. She offered a subtle smile, then gently tapped the microphone. "Thank you for being here," she remarked, her tone unwavering even as the lights flickered around her. "The whispers about me and Harper's Hope have reached your ears, I'm sure. I'm here to clarify things." Tom leaned in, with Lily comfortably settled on his lap. The atmosphere fell silent, devices lifted to capture the moment. "I'm Elena Voss," she started, CEO of Voss Industries. "Many recognize me as the one who offered Tom Harper a position and initiated this program, yet my journey began long before that. 3 decades back, I was just a child in this town, struggling, yearning, as I watched my father piece together scraps to sustain us. He was a lone parent, much like Tom, struggling with finances and facing relentless challenges. Then he fell ill, a swift and merciless battle with cancer. We were unable to afford the treatment. He passed away when I was just 12, leaving me with nothing but a solemn vow. If I ever succeed, I'll ensure that no one else experiences the same losses we faced." A soft whisper flowed among the gathering. Tom felt a constriction in his chest as her revelation from the hospital regarding her father was now exposed for all to see. "I battled my way to the top," Elena went on, her voice growing heavier. "Unconventional tasks, financial aid, evenings spent crafting Voss in a garage. I became wealthy, incredibly wealthy, yet the guilt remained unshaken. I was unable to rescue him. Then I spotted Tom outside my factory, resume clutched tightly, battling for his daughter just as my father had fought for me. Seeing Lily in the hospital shattered me. Text this." She gestured at the banners, the people. "This is for them, for my dad, for every family I couldn't help back then." She hesitated, swallowing hard, while the reporter, a woman with a sharp face in the front row, stood with her microphone thrust forward. "Ms. Voss, are you suggesting that this is merely a form of atonement? A publicity maneuver to ease your guilt?" Elena's eyes sparkled with intensity, yet her voice remained composed. "Name it as you please. I'm not concealing anything. I'm embracing it fully. My past is not hidden. It serves a purpose. Harper's hope transcends my own experience. It is fundamentally about them." She acknowledged Tom and Lily with a nod. "What about you?" The journalist remained seated, feeling a sense of defeat as the applause began, initially soft, then building to a roaring crescendo. Tom sensed Lily's hands meet his chest, the drawing crumpling between them, and he found himself echoing the sound, enveloped by its warmth. Elena stood exposed, sharing her innermost self, and the town responded with open arms. She lifted a hand, silencing them. "The journey is far from over. Harper's aspiration is expanding across the nation. Collaborations with manufacturers, healthcare facilities, and benefactors. Tom is taking the lead on this because he understands it well. However, it belongs to you as well. Maintain its vitality." The gym erupted once more, jubilant cheers reverberating through the rafters. Lily pulled gently at Tom's sleeve. "Is it okay for me to share my picture with her now?" Indeed, he mentioned, lowering her gently. She rushed to the stage, skillfully maneuvering between legs, and ascended before anyone had a chance to intervene. Elena knelt as Lily presented her the drawing, her soft voice resonating. "It's a flying car for you." Elena accepted it, her eyes shimmering with emotion. "It's absolutely wonderful, Lily. Thanks a lot." In a moment that took everyone by surprise, Lily wrapped her arms around Elena's neck, embracing her fiercely. Elena stood still for a moment, then embraced tightly, tears streaming down her face. The audience inhaled sharply, then erupted in applause, cameras capturing each moment. Tom stood with his heart racing and stepped onto the stage, while Lily remained tightly grasping Elena. He locked eyes with her above Lily's head, his own eyes glistening with emotion. He spoke softly, just for her ears. "You didn't have to share that. However, I appreciate that you took that step." "She had to," she remarked as she wiped her face. "They've become family, and you've caused pain to each one of them. It's time to step into the light." He nodded, drawing Lily nearer as the crowd erupted in chants of Harper's hope. A news anchor abruptly presented a microphone to him, and Tom delivered his thoughts without a script. "A month ago, I was invisible. Elena caught sight of me. At this moment, we are observing all the others. This is precisely what it is." The gym transformed into a joyous occasion. With music blasting in the background, children darting about with colorful balloons, and unfamiliar faces embracing one another. Online donations reached an impressive $500,000, with the hashtag HarperHope gaining traction across the nation. Elena discreetly handed Tom a note, indicating the national meeting scheduled for next month. "You hold the reins." And he laughed, the sound vibrant and unrestrained. Later at home, Lily drifted off to sleep with her toy car beside her. The twin drawings, a replica that Elena had insisted on, taped above her bed. Tom settled onto their new couch, the paycheck stub resting beside him as he turned on the TV. The press conference played again. Lily's hug featured on every channel. Headlines blaring, "CEO and girl's embrace shatters the internet." Messages poured in, filled with emotion, support, and commitments to stand with Harper's Hope. Mrs. Carter spoke, her voice heavy and thick. "I saw it, Tom. You both are truly remarkable." "No," he replied with a smile. "We were fortunate that Elena happened to see us." He ended the call, his gaze fixed on the sculpture, its steel curves shimmering in the light. Lily felt secure. Their home belonged to them, and the town, perhaps even the entire country, was transforming as a result. Elena's revelation had determined the outcome, shaping not only the position but also a legacy forged from her grief and his struggle. As dusk settled outside, Elena navigated the road, a drawing resting on her passenger seat, a subtle smile gracing her lips. Her father's horse sculpture occupied a place in her office, but this flying car was something entirely fresh and vibrant. In Lily's embrace, she discovered a treasure she hadn't realized was missing: family, fulfilling the promise she had made. Harper's Hope would expand, perhaps nationally or even globally, and she would create it alongside Tom, Lily, and all those who had shared in the tears of joy that evening. Tom slipped into slumber, the TV casting a warm glow while Lily's gentle snores provided a soothing melody. The astonishing outcome transcended mere employment or financial gain. It was the affection, the bond, and the enduring hope that remained vibrant. And it was merely the start.